afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Coram and Ken Shreve here with a breakdown of the action in today's session, Monday, October 7th, where we saw stocks sell off today. Insurance stocks hit particularly hard with another hurricane brewing and a lot of other things to discuss today, Ken.
Yes, indeed. Three stocks outside of the technology sector. Let's take a look at Flowserve FLS. In the heavy construction industry group, Construction Partners, ROAD. And then finally, you mentioned that sell-off in insurance stocks. So let's take a look at Allstate, ALL.
Okay, we'll take a look at those three stocks, but first, let's analyze the major indexes in a little bit more detail. The S&P 500 today closing down almost 1% after a mild down open. We also had the NASDAQ today, zero NDQC on our charts here, down 1.2% by session's close. The Dow down almost 1% on the day, coming off lows a little bit by the end of the session. And the Russell 2000 down some 0.8% on the day, coming off lows here a bit. So what do you make of this down day to kick off the week, Ken?
Well, I think I mentioned last week on Thursday, last time I was on with you, that we want to, if the market is going to pull back, we just always want to be paying attention to price and volume, and ideally we want to see higher volume behind up days and lower volume behind down days. So we had some selling today, no doubt about it. There wasn't a big rush of trading volume in the market. If you go back to the just go to the NASDAQ, you'll see volume looks like it's going to be slightly higher from Friday. So this looks like it's going to be a distribution day for the Nasdaq, and a very close call on the S&P 500, because volume was very close on the NYSE. So I mean, the Nasdaq here is back below 18,000. Maybe it's going to test that 21-day moving average. We'll see. Lots of selling underneath the surface. I mean, the percentage declines in the indexes were kind of tough today, but even going through the gross screens, seeing a lot of stocks down 3-4%. So maybe some profit taking here, and as always, just kind of keep an eye on what you own, and look for sell signals or opportunities to trim some profits.
And can you outline some key levels to watch for the NASDAQ? What about the S&P 500? What are you watching?
Yeah, same situation. Still holding above short-term support levels. S&P kind of trying to come down and retest that prior buy area, but you can see it's just coming down into a pretty key support level. So I mean, the percentage declines today were tough, but again, volume wasn't overwhelming to the downside. Did see some weakness below the surface, but yeah, just seems like a normal pullback so far.
So far, indeed. Okay. And the Russell 2000 small caps coming off lows by the end of the session. But what do you make of the pullback underway here for small caps?
Yeah, I mean, interest rates are back in focus. We had another jump in that 10-year Treasury yield today, went up over 4% pretty easily. So this is certainly a reason why the market is kind of just reassessing things here. You've got the dollar strengthening, you've got interest rates rising, even though the Fed is supposed to be cutting rates a couple times in November and December. So market's going to have to resolve this big rise in bond yields and the strengthening dollar. So we'll just have to see. Typically, that doesn't bode well when you have dollar strength and rising bond yields. Anytime money is more expensive, that can crimp corporate earnings, and just generally not a good environment for stocks. So too early to say we're going to be coming in hard here, but we'll pay attention to distribution like we always do.
Absolutely. And next on the list, let's check in on oil, up again sharply today. USO here tracking the price of oil up 3.8% on the day after a strong week last week, as tensions in the Mideast continue to flare.
Yeah, and you also have this China stimulus because you see these, multiple up days in a row for USO, and it just looks like a lot of China stocks that have been rallying, and it stands to reason if China's economy is going to recover as a result of this stimulus, then you'd expect to see. Demand improve for oil. So oil's got a couple of things, helping it lift off lows here. So this is another thing that the market is just trying to figure out is rising oil prices, strong dollar. But you have to think, the devastation that Hurricane Helene brought along, and now we've got another big, Category 5 storm in the Gulf that's headed towards Florida, and you have to think that this is going to have some sort of economic impact. I don't know how many points it will shave off of GDP, but it's likely if the second big storm hits, we'll probably start to hear economists talking about, maybe how that's going to impact growth in coming quarters. So that may be a little bit of what's going on as well.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible and shocking what is happening in the hurricane scene.
Just reading a report
Yeah.
from AP, and that Hurricane Milton has strengthened to a Category 5, but most scientists are thinking there's a good chance that it will weaken as it hits shore. But you don't know for sure. What we know right now is it's
Right.
Category 5, and we'll see. But yeah, tough times for sure.
Mhm. Well, we'll continue to monitor what goes on there in terms of the impact for investors. And one area that we are watching is the insurance space. It's been a bright spot over the last couple of months, Ken, but hit pretty hard today.
Yeah, this is an ETF that we've had on leaderboard for quite some time, and we first added it August 14th, so nearly 2 months ago. We did trim it today. We just trimmed it back after that sharp break of the 21-day line, and we'll give the ETF the benefit of the doubt to test the 50-day moving average. But you can see a lot of volume in KIE today, and again, there was just broad-based weakness in just about every insurance out there, as obviously they're going to be facing a lot of claims in coming weeks and months.
Mhm. Okay, let's take a look at some individual stocks. Here is FLS. This is Flowserve in the machinery industrial area, up 3.6% on the day. And a couple of weeks ago, it had a strong session. Let me see what day this was on 9/24, up over 7%, topping a recent trading range above 52. It consolidated for the last week and a half, and now getting above that short consolidation area. And I believe this is the highest level for the stock in many, many months. It looks like in over 5 years.
Yeah, good move today, and there's a lot of stocks that are going to definitely see increased business as a result of this foul weather. So you want to pay attention to, if you're following the stock market. So with Flowserve, as its name would indicate, they make pumps and valves for pumping purposes, and this is just a product that will definitely be needed in coming days and weeks. So heavy volume breakout, the move above that recent high. I mean, you noted the original breakout when it crossed 50, but the move today, it's just kind of breaking out over another high here, and it looks like a totally reasonable entry here. So I would say that this is still in a buy zone. Composite rating of 91. You've got a good track record of earnings and sales, and a nice technical breakout today. So for those who bought over 50, had a chance to add to the position
Mhm.
today. And if you didn't, buy it when it first broke out over 50, I think you had an opportunity today. So, good one to watch. Want to pay attention to always showing stock showing relative strength. So Flowserve is definitely in that camp.
It is. And we do have earnings coming up for the stock at the end of October. So something to keep in mind there as well. Let's now take a look at ticker ROAD. This is Construction Partners in the Building Heavy Construction Group. Ken, this group is ranked number 10 out of the nearly 200 groups that we track. So a lot of strength here and some interesting technical action for ROAD.
Yeah, I heard you guys talking about a lot of different stocks in this group on IBD Live this morning, and there were other stocks to talk about. But Construction Partners, listen, this is a nice pullback to a prior buy area and a pullback to the 21-day line where it is finding support. So this one to me still looks actionable. Again, a lot of companies are going to be seeing a lot of increased business in coming months in this group, and that's why you're seeing such a high group rank. So, Construction Partners is right there. Again, I like the pullback. You had first of all the pullback came after a real monster breakout in heavy volume when it crossed the 70 level, pulls back, and is still in a buy zone here. So another name worth paying attention to in this group. I was going to talk about Floor because you guys were talking about it on IBD Live this morning, but Floor had a nice breakout itself today, and this still could be in the early stages of starting to move here.
Honorable mention
Honorable mention.
as it breaks out of that double bottom base today.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely. Closed a little bit off highs, but still, right in a buy
Mhm.
zone here.
Yeah, this group is one to watch, no doubt. Let's round things out with a look at Allstate and notable decline here today, Ken, of nearly 5% in above average volume. And I think, when a lot of people think about insurance stocks, or certainly when we talk about them, it's not an area where you see a lot of big moves in either direction. So a 5% decline isn't unheard of here, but it is on the rare side. And this one coming alongside with a break of a key support level, that 50-day.
Yeah, and volume volume for a down day was the highest in quite some time. You can see, go all the way back to that area back in late July. So big sellers in the stock today. Definitely some institutional selling here, and this was not an Allstate specific decline. There was just broad based weakness throughout the group, and again, for people that bought as this stock was moving over the 180 level, it's kind of coming right back down there. But the fact that it's below its 50-day moving average, the fact that there were big sellers in the stock today, you want to be careful here. At least maybe take some money off the table, because when you get a break like this with volume, it just the message is that it's probably ready to just kind of move sideways and consolidate for a little while. So just below the 10-week line now, but broad-based weakness in this group. These companies are going to be, seeing a lot of claims going forward for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if it closes this week below the 10-week line, that would be the first decisive break of that level in quite a while. And the last time it did that, Ken, it set out for a number of weeks, to your point, as it built a base. So something that we often see when we do get those breaks of a 10-week line, especially after a number of weeks trending above that level.
Yeah, definitely. And besides the insurance stocks, utilities was another area of the market that has been, performing well, but faced some selling pressure today. The XLU, which we have on leaderboard, this is right now just a test of the 21-day line. So we're sticking with the position that we have a nice gain here. But look at the volume in the utilities ETF as well. Very heavy. So some big sellers in this area as well.
Right. It's been an area of outperformance since early July or so, but today's 2.3% decline in XLU, the biggest percentage decline since 8/5, the decline of that day of 2.6%. But that day, the whole market was getting hit very, very hard in early August. So we'll have to see how this pullback resolves itself. All right. Well, thank you, Ken. Any last words?
No, other than when you've got bond yields rising and the dollar strengthening, that typically is a formidable headwind for the market, and it doesn't mean that that we're destined to pull back 10% here, but the more higher volume declines we see and lower volume rallies, it just raises the likelihood that we're probably going to pull back here. But that story hasn't played out yet. So continue to watch the indexes and watch out for volume, because volume always gives the clues. Looks like we'll get a distribution day for the Nasdaq, but if we can keep them on a tight leash and hopefully not see too many of them, we may be able to continue to work well here.
Sounds like a plan, Ken. Thank you so much for that. And thanks everyone for tuning in. That is it from us for today, but we'll be back with more tomorrow morning on IBD Live, investors.com/IBD Live for all the details on our daily morning live stream where we break down the market action and leading stocks in real time. Investors.com/IBD Live for that. We will see you there. And then we'll also see you right back here tomorrow after the close.